And we are back on the baseball chosen journey, the chosen baseball journey with Karim Garcia, Jonathan A. Cohen. Karim, I don't know if you're aware or not, but my book is in stores and it's out. It's called The Bible 3.0, The Six Commandments of the Chosen Life. 2 years later, blood, sweat, and tears. I've done it, my friend. I wrote my first book.
Congratulations. I know it was out, and I want to congratulate you because it takes a while and a great mind to do so.
It's funny because I tell people, I didn't realize how painful it is writing a book because it's so much editing involved. And then recording the audio book, the audio, doing the video, the audio part, no video, but doing that was actually just as challenging, if not more challenging. And I'm thinking in my head, this should be easy. I'm reading off of a page to a microphone. I do microphones all the time with my podcast because I got three different ones, and it was the most challenging thing I've ever seen. Executing it just right and being able to get the right tone and words. And I'm thinking in my head, how do actors do this? How do they go and jump and do scenes while memorizing lines? And then I think about in baseball where you have a hitter up to the plate, you got the catcher, you got the pitcher, and they're reading signs and codes. I mean, it feels like when you're going into a baseball game as a professional, you probably have like a textbook of all these sheets you got to memorize. As professionals, you just want to go out and play, you just want to go and record, but there's a lot of prep that goes into everything we do if we want to do it right.
Absolutely. I mean, like you say, in baseball, they give you now a book for the pitcher that you're facing. Like in the days, you were looking at a video, and it was a lot easier. But I mean, it's amazing what you did because I actually did a book for my father after he passed away. He also played baseball, and it took me about a year and a half to do so. But I had a lot of help with other people that they actually write it for me, and we get different perspectives of his career. And I mean, it is unbelievable to do a book.
Was it in only in Spanish or was it available in English also?
No, it was only in Spanish. It was in Spanish only.
No habla español. That's my only difficulty with that. And I gotta tell you that today's episode is not about books, but you and I. So you're based in Texas. I'm based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And in 2023, we both descended on Arizona. Right? We were there in March, and we came for a purpose. We didn't end up meeting each other, but it's funny because I'm walking to the game because I'm going to be watching Team USA versus Mexico. And I talked to Kareem and I said, "Oh, it'll be easy to get tickets." And you said, "No, no, no, it's gonna be sold out, guaranteed." And you were right. It was one of the hardest sports tickets I've ever had to get. And outside the cafe, right outside the stadium, what do I see there? But there's a man standing with a Team Mexico jersey, Karim Garcia. And I sent it to you.
Yes, it was funny. I mean, I was running for Mexico, of course, at that moment, and I mean, it was a great game. Mexico ended up winning again, but now it's different from way back when I played in 2006 compared to this year. We're talking about all those years, 17 years after. It's incredible what was watched.
We're going to talk about two different players over the next couple weeks. So I'm going to start with one player today because he was in the news for quite some time because there were rumors that his team was going to trade him. And I said they are nuts if they trade this man. So as I got my ticket, I was in center field, and who was playing there but Randy Arozarena. And I've attended hundreds of baseball games in my career, and I gotta say, I have never seen a heart and soul player like Randy. He was all about the fans, and they loved him. He's into every single play, just plays with such a pure love of the game. And Tampa Bay, I would say, if they were going to move this guy in the offseason, big, big mistake. So it looks like he's going to be staying, which is good. Talk about Randy Rosarena, Team Mexico, and the effect that he had in your estimation.
Well, Randy came to Mexico from Cuba, like we all know. I started working out in Yucatan, Merida, Mexico. And I mean, right away the guy was really really nice to the people. He always say hello to everyone, try to help a lot of people, still helping a lot of people. He's a pure person, like you can see it. Whatever you see on the field, whatever you see outside, that's really him, and he got to those guys, to the rest of the Mexican team, injected the powerful mind that he has and the way that he plays. He always plays hard. He tries to do the best. Even if he wasn't an outfielder, he worked to be a better outfielder. And playing left field is a little more difficult to play. And center field, you have everything in front of you, and you can move side to side. Right field is the power position, but left field, I play all three positions. So for me, left field was probably the most difficult position to play out of the three.
Now, have you seen from WBC and having experienced teams and playing on them yourself and getting to see the 2023 edition, have you seen a more popular player for Team Mexico than Randy?
Now, I think, back in 2006, Fernando Valenzuela, Vini Castilla were the top stars for the team, the names. But nothing compared to what Arozarena did this year in the WB, well, last year in the WBC. Even, he's been with the president of Mexico. He's been everywhere in Mexico, and they all love him. And not only in Mexico, everywhere he goes in the States, they all the Mexican and Latin people goes over there and say hello to him, and I think it's great, very special for him.
I'm not surprised that they came from Cuba originally, because if you watch Team Cuba and you watch their players and some of the success stories, you could see he's a very gifted athlete, but he's put in the work. I mean, he's been probably playing since he was about 5 years old. But when he got to Mexico and he had the option, he chose to play for Team Mexico. He was very adamant about that. He has really taken to Mexico as his home and fell in love with it like I've never seen a player before.
Yes, I mean, when he came to Mexico, he was looking for a job, trying to get a opportunity in first in Mexico baseball, which he played in the Winter League, and that's how he got picked up for the United States. So after that, he got signed, went over there, work even more or harder, to try to stay in a major league team. Once he got the opportunity, he never let go, which is what you're supposed to do once you get the opportunity. And he knew he didn't want to go back and try to, start all over again, because Mexico, Cuba is difficult to get the opportunity sometimes.
After watching how many good trades Tampa Bay makes year in, year out, and you follow the line because you see how they acquire a player, they play him for 2, 3 years, they trade him for more players, and they keep getting more talent from that first original trade. If I'm a team and Tampa Bay is interested in my player, I maybe relook at that player again, saying maybe I'm missing something here because St. Louis traded him to Tampa Bay. They got to be kicking themselves because they gave away a generational talent. I mean, any team in baseball would love to have this guy. I assume as a teammate, he's the kind of guy you would love to go to war with, but you hate playing him against him.
Absolutely. You love, like, showboating and stuff like that. The other teams don't like it, when they go across his arms, in front of you after a double or catching a great chocolate, catching a fly ball, stuff like that for the last out. If he wasn't my teammate, I would have hated him. Back in the days, I would have hit him like 3 or 4 times every time he goes to a bat. You know, Nowadays it's a little more common that people does that. So now you laugh, now you like it. People seems to be more understandable. But some of the guys have been playing in the major leagues for 17, 18 years. I'm sure they hate it. But right now, this is what is going, the way that everything is going. And, as a teammate, you'll love him.
Back in the day, if he played like that and sliding at the bases, the second baseman, third baseman, the catcher, they would have their elbows up, I'm sure. They would be teaching him a lesson.
Oh, I would put on my knee on second base, like to break a hand or something like that, or just slap him with my glove down to hit him on the helmet, something like that. Back in the days, it was a little more uh, dirty, I want to say, or a little harder. Nowadays, you can even touch the second baseman or anyone else.
And it's kind of interesting that Another player that could do stuff like this, people don't like it, you know? But with Randy Arozarena, they've taken to him. I think it was that series with Tampa back in the playoffs when I think he had 10 home runs in one series. When you do really well in the playoffs, people tend to love you and remember you.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he set the record for home runs in a postseason. But he has I think in a little discussion with Benji Molina or one of those guys because no, not Benji. Who was the catcher? Yadir Molina. Yadir. Because he was hitting the home runs or showboat and stuff like that, and that you know the guys that play before him, don't like the stuff.
In your estimation, having played the game, having been around the WBC, watching him in that WBC series, has he hit his ceiling or have we only seen the beginning? Like, do you think he has more room to grow as a player?
Uh, I don't know if he has more room to go, but I think he's gonna be constant on what he has right now. He has shown to be constant player. I don't think you're gonna see a Randy hitting 40 home runs and driving 140 runs, 130 runs. I think he's gonna be a guy with a 25 guy, maybe a 30. I don't think he gets 30, but I mean 25 and driving 70, 100, 80 runs, 90 runs, that is possible. And stealing some bases.
And very good D. If he
Yeah.
was a free agent this offseason, and I would say it was not a very deep pool. I would say there was obviously the upper superstars, but there wasn't a ton available. If he was on this market, I think he's getting $300 million in his sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big number right there, but it'd be interesting to see who is gonna give him that type of money right now. I mean,
Yeah.
because and
No, no,
he's a
he
great player. He's a
he,
great player.
he has. I'm gonna guess. I'd have to take a look, but I would say he has at least 2 or 3 years left before free agency, so he's got some time. But when I look at Cody Bellinger, and still people talk about 300 million. I don't think he'll break 200 million, but these are big numbers. But a guy that is gonna go in, play almost every day for you, consistency. One thing I noticed watching several games with him, he Randy Rosarena does not take any games off. He doesn't take any at bats off. I've seen guys in the outfield, and I'm sure you played with them, and you can see that they're kind of not into it that game. He's every at bat, every single pitch, he's right into it. And that kind of intensity, I think, is very important in the game if you're going to stay for a long time.
Absolutely. The other thing, he's working towards a big contract. That's what he's doing right now. And a lot of guys do the same thing, You have to put up the time to do so and show that you are consistent. There wasn't just one good year or two good years out of the six, that year in and year out, you're doing the same thing, showing that you can hit for power, you can hit for average, you stole some bases, you play great outfield, you get all those instincts, and that's how you're gonna get paid right now.
If you were Randy Rosarena's agent or bench coach or hitting coach, what advice would you give to him going into the 2024 season?
Try to be a little more patient at the plate. He's a very aggressive, which is good, but that also will get you in trouble in the long run because they see you swing at the first pitch or you're having trouble with the breaking pitch. They're gonna try to feed you that. I mean, they're always looking for holes so they can hurt you, the opposite teams. And I mean, you never want to take the aggressiveness of a hitter. You just have to make him a little more smarter, you know, and see who you're facing. It's not the same thing facing a top team than facing a bottom team, Two different philosophies.
Are you familiar with fantasy baseball, Kareem, where people play online and they make their own teams and trades? Have you seen that before?
I have seen it, yes.
So back in my day, I won 2 championships. Do you want to know my secret of how I won those championships?
Yes. Tell me.
Very easy. This was my philosophy. When I picked up batters and I scouted it out, I took always the hitters that take the most amount of walks. And when I take pitchers, I take the ones that give up the least amount of walks. It's very simple because when you're a hitter and you know how to take walks and you got patience, you're going to see good pitches in my estimation. If you're a pitcher that doesn't give up walks, you're not hurting yourself. You're making them hurt you. How do you like that
Mhm.
philosophy?
I like it. I like it, because as a hitter, if you want to be a 300 hitter, you have to take your walks. And as a pitcher, if you're around the plate, it's because they're putting the ball in play, and you giving your defense a chance to make those outs. You cannot control the errors, but you can control the way that you pitch, or you can control the way that you hit.
The people that we tend to bring up a lot, Steve and I, in discussions, are two guys. Number one, Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn, can't appreciate Tony Gwynn unless you watched him. But if you're bored one day, go take a look at his numbers. The man never struck out, ever. It's incredible. In his whole career, the man barely struck out. And I don't know how he did that. And then you take a guy like Bobby Abreu, and Bobby Abreu, you remember in his day, how many walks the guy could take. And when you have a player that's like a 20-20, 30-30 type player with a lot of patience, a little bit of power, that's a great combination. On my team, I'd happily take a Tony Gwynn or a Bobby Abreu any day.
Absolutely. I have to. I was able to watch both of them play against both of them, but Tony Wynn was something special to see, to tell you the truth, because he hit with a 32.5-inch bat, not even a 33. And all he uses was his hands. And he can turn into a ball and hit a home run. I mean, he had power enough to hit 20, 25 home runs, but all he wanted to do was just make great contact. And if you put a shift into him, all he does is just slap the ball the other way. He wasn't taking a big swings, nothing like that. He was just incredible. And especially with lefties, he always kept his front shoulder closer. He never opened up so he can stay towards the middle with the pitcher going the other way. That's why lefty on lefty, it was such a great hitter.
And for people that say that Tony Gwynn was overrated as a hitter, what would be your response?
Uh, they they never saw him play completely. I mean, that's one of the greatest hitters of all time. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
And Bobby Abreu, you've played with him as well. What was your take on Bobby Abreu?
Bobby Abreu, I thought that he could have done even more than what he did in the major leagues because he has some power, but he went for the average and the walks. He was really patient. Sometimes 3-1s taking a pitch, trying to get on base. Uh, when 3-1, you sit in dead red and you just try to hit a jack. But different type of player. He was a little more passive, not as an aggressive as other players. But I mean, that's the way that he played all the time, and it was great for him.
Well, we covered some very interesting players today. So stay tuned for next week, folks, because I have a very special player that I find tends to get a lot of heat in baseball. I know that Kareem knows this individual very, very well, and we're going to get the true story on him. So, Kareem, I got a surprise for you next week. So stay tuned.
I'll be ready.
All right. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey. It's Kareem Garcia, Jonathan A. Cohen. We'll see you all back next week.